Barack Obama really triggers Donald Trump. He triggers him because he's more articulate and a better speaker. He triggers him because he's more athletic and more fit. He triggers Trump because Obama is globally respected, even if you didn't like everything that Obama did.
Iran said to Trump and his administration, we're not going to do any negotiation. We'll only talk to Barack Obama.
And Obama triggers Trump because he reminds people that the stuff Trump is screwing up, Obama had mostly figured out. Obama had solved the Iran nuclear situation, at least for a period of time, and at least without launching missiles, without threatening to nuke Iran, without turning the Middle East into an even bigger disaster because of his ego. Wasn't perfect, but he did those things.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with Iran. Now, I'm more militant and more militaristic than the president. I believe in strength. But to start a war in order to get elected, and I believe that's going to happen, would be an outrage. This is a great time to negotiate. Unfortunately, we have a president that doesn't know the first thing about negotiation. We have a real problem in the White House. So I believe that he will attack Iran sometime prior to the election because he thinks that's the only way he can get elected. Isn't it pathetic?
Barack Obama really triggers Donald Trump.
Overnight, Donald Trump posted dozens of times on Truth Social calling for President Obama's arrest, calling President Obama the most, quote, demonic force in American politics, suggesting that President Obama received $120 million from Obamacare, and more in a lengthy tirade that spanned over 30 posts in a matter of minutes. It's not a surprise to see the president struggle to stay awake during the day when he's up all night, ranting on Truth Social and reposting just absurd claims. None of his claims are actually true. And the reason I even make these videos are because for years, the right attacked President Biden for not being fully fit to serve. Staying up all night and posting radical claims, calling for the arrest of President Obama, saying that President Obama is treasonous, all of these things. I mean, that is, any media personnel should look at that and say, that's not fully fit either. And this is not a just let Trump be Trump moment. Presidents should be held to a higher standard.
If I were named Obama, I would have had the Nobel Prize given in 10 seconds. He got the Nobel Prize. He didn't even know what the hell he got it for. Remember, he got elected. Well, so did I. He got elected, and they announced he was getting the Nobel Prize. Remember, he said, oh, what did I do? He didn't know what the hell he did. He got the Nobel Prize for doing nothing. For getting elected, but I got elected too. And, if I think of that, we did something, the Abraham Accords, unprecedented. Nobody thought it was possible. And I'm not saying want or not. I'm just saying if it was anybody else, liberal, Democrat, they would have had it before the damn thing was even signed, So there has to be fair, and I don't care, but I'm not looking for it. I'm not politicking for it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of unfairness in this world. Did you see Barack Hussein Obama last night? Take little shots. He was taking shots at your president. And so was Michelle. They always say, sure, please stick to policy. Don't get personal. And yet they're getting personal all night long, these people. Do I still have to stick to policy?
And here is President Obama reminding us in an interview just hours ago about what he was able to achieve with the Iran nuclear deal. And he says, Trump got out of the deal because I did it. That's the only real reason.
We pulled it off. without firing a missile. We got 97% of their enriched uranium out.
How are you?
They were able to maintain a modest civilian nuclear program for energy. And
so you think it was working?
Well, it's not only did I think it was working, even Israeli intelligence thought it was working. Even our intelligence services thought it was working. So there's no dispute that it worked, and we didn't have to kill a whole bunch of people or shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Now,
well, there was some dispute that it didn't work.
Well,
our present president believed that it didn't work, which is why he pulled out of it.
It's not clear that he didn't believe that it didn't work. He just said it didn't work.
Worst deal of all time.
Yeah, because I did it, which is fine. That seems to be a pattern. But there was no serious independent folks who would say that it didn't work with respect to the nuclear program. Now, if your agenda was to bring about regime change in Iran, well, that wasn't the goal of the agreement. If your goal was to dismantle the Iranian military so that it couldn't cause any other problems in the region, then it didn't do that, but that wasn't the goal.
Obama really gets to the heart of how Trump does this stuff, which is Obama's name was on the deal. That's really all that I need to know. And that is so important right now because Obama is talking about the Iran nuclear deal, which Trump doesn't want anyone to remember was basically working. Iran agreed to massively reduce its enriched uranium stockpile, dismantle centrifuges, accept international inspections, and all the information we have is that up until the point that Donald Trump said, I'm getting out of this, Iran was doing it. Doesn't make the theocratic regime of Iran something that I look up to or respect. Doesn't make Iran a country whose foreign policy ambitions I am aligned with. But according to international inspectors and our own intelligence services, Iran was complying with the agreement. It was working as intended. It wasn't intended to do regime change. It wasn't necessarily perfect. Every single agreement like this has some trade-offs, of course. Otherwise, both parties wouldn't agree to engage in it. But it was containing the nuclear program. And then Trump comes in and destroys it. Not because Iran violated the deal or because inspectors found nuclear weapons programs that were hidden or anything like that. He pulled out because Obama did it. And Trump has been emotionally incapable of admitting Obama did something that's good enough. He can't do it. He won't do it. And the Iran deal was especially triggering to Donald Trump because it represented the kind of leadership Trump wishes he could engage in, that he could participate in. And it requires diplomacy and some patience, and it involves allies and respecting other people and acknowledging that you may not be the most knowledgeable person in the room. Trump can't do any of that stuff. He wants TV moments, dramatic threats. I'm out of the deal. Now we're going to unleash hell upon them. And so Trump pulls the U.S. out of that deal in 2018, says we're going to get a better deal. Instead, what we get is, in going now to the second term, bombing Iran in June of 2025, and then now going into a war. And what is Trump trying to get now? The best Trump can hope to do is to get back into the nuclear deal that looks almost exactly like what Barack Obama was involved in. And in fact, if you read about the negotiations that have been taking place, it seems that the best case scenario realistically is that whatever is put back in place isn't even as strong as what Barack Obama had in place. Trump destroyed the deal, made the region more dangerous, and now he is saying we're trying to get a deal where they make agreements on nuclear and agreements on Strait of Hormuz. And we had that. We had that deal. And you said it wasn't good enough. And now you're going to put in place a deal that isn't even as strong. So Barack Obama's correct. He is getting to the core of this. It's that it had Obama's name on it that Trump didn't like. Obama did it, so Trump hated it. And that's really all that this is about. And I don't think I have to tell you that this is indicative of an individual so constitutionally, I mean, not like the capital C Constitution, as an individual, the makeup of Trump is so poorly suited to the office of the presidency that it's hard to think of a worse person. Maybe JD, right? We don't know what he would be like as president, but Trump is pretty high up on the list of the last people in the world you would want to be president of the United States.
Trump always makes fun of Obama for giving Iran the $1.7 billion of cash as part of the JCPOA deal. But the funny thing is that Trump has given Iran $5 billion because of this war. But before I go into explaining that $1.7 billion isn't something that the U.S. gave to Iran. It's Iran's money. It was to do with Iran giving that money to the U.S. in the 70s to purchase weapons that the U.S. never delivered to Iran. And so that money sat in the U.S. and earned interest. So it was Iran's money that the U.S. had to give back because of a legal dispute with Iran over undelivered military equipment. But regarding the $5 billion that Trump has given to Iran, because of sanctions, Iran is forced to discount its oil sales, which mostly go to China. And usually they give a $7 discount. But because of this war and Scott Bessent's idea of let's unsanction the Iranian oil on the sea to reduce the pressure of oil price, Iran was able to sell that oil at a $1 premium to the market. So it went from $7 discount to a $1 premium. So that's an $8 increase in the price of oil. There was about 150 million barrels of oil on the sea, Iranian oil. And so just that one move resulted in Iran earning $1.2 billion. But on top of that, because of this war, oil prices have gone up, and they've gone up by nearly $27. So $27 times the 150 million barrels of oil that was already on the sea is more than $4 billion. So, add that 1.2 billion to the 4 billion, you get $5.2 billion. That was essentially given to Iran by the US because of this war, indirectly. So it's hilarious that he always brings that 1.7 billion, where because of his actions, it resulted in more than $5 billion given to Iran, that they would generate more than before the war if this war didn't happen. But he didn't just give money, indirectly to Iran. He gave them a stronger diplomatic position, because now countries, before the war, Iran was a isolated country that no one had to really deal with. Europe didn't have to do anything with Iran. US, of course, didn't too. But now, because countries have to get approval from Iran to transit their ships and pay a toll fee on top of that of $1 per barrel of oil, they have to engage with Iran now. They have to have conversations with Iran. They have to negotiate with Iran. And they have to pay toll fees to transit their ships from the Gulf countries to their own country. So the U.S. has elevated Iran to a regional power, which the world didn't really see Iran as that before the war.
Are they going to arrest Obama? I can see the headlines now. Trump troops to arrest Obama. And they do. Something's wrong with the man. I really thought it was dangerous to use your phone on the airplane, but apparently that man got he got on his Truth Social and he called for Obama to be arrested. Now you know what happened the last time when he got on his Truth Social and expressed who he wanted arrested. And they try to make it happen, old Pam Bondi. So I just wonder, will this Todd Blanche, will he do the same?
Arrest Obama. That's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. That's how desperate Donald Trump is. He wants to arrest Obama. Oh my goodness gracious. This dude is just grasping at all the straws that he could possibly grasp at to keep the attention off himself, to try to deflect and point to anybody else but himself and his fuck-ups. He spent all these years talking about how Russia was a hoax. And now he wants to focus on that and say, arrest Obama. And of course he has his sycophants that are cheerleading this and promoting this. But this is where we're at. Donald Trump is now pushing to arrest Obama. Obama got out of office. What time? We're in 2025. Trump had 4 years in office prior to this term. 4 years. Where he had access to all the information. Access to all the intelligence agencies. But now in the year 2025, he wants to really push for arresting Obama. I wonder why.
Trump hates Obama because Obama is everything that he will never be. Intelligent, classy, competent, experienced, dignified, kind, loved, respected, articulate, and so many more things money can't buy. You know this is true.
The kicker, which really wasn't the kicker because we already know. I'm going to say that the only reason Trump has a problem with Barack Obama, he blatantly said because he's black, because he went to Harvard, because he's educated. And those are all the things that Donald Trump despises. I guess a black educated man becoming president just gets up under his skin in a way that just makes him react and lash out. He says that Trump didn't even believe the birther claims. He said he just liked the response. He never thought Obama was not born here, but he liked the response that he was getting from it. So he enjoyed the racist activity that went around his statement. Y'all gonna quit trying to convince me that Trump ain't racist. Say, now, child, this is something here. So sad our good black skin just be making people get upset. For what? For what? We ain't a set of y'all skin. Live in your skin. It's beautiful. And so is mine. Look at that shimmer, that lighting. Oh yes. This is not about you right now. But you know, when the light hit the melanin, I just don't.
I've been noticing for years that the Trump cult is absolutely obsessed with Barack Obama. So I decided to do some research to try and find out why the MAGA cult is so obsessed with Obama. Barack Obama has not been president for 10 years, and MAGA can't stop talking about him. They're literally obsessed with the man. They try and blame him for things that are happening today. That's not random. There's a psychological reason for that, although it seems a little creepy. Here are the 4 reasons the Trump cult is obsessed with President Obama. 1. The psychological wage of whiteness. In 1935, sociologist W.E.B. Du Bois at Atlanta University studied poor white Americans. White Americans, even the poor ones with no money and no power, felt superior to black Americans. Not because they earned it, but because for 250 years the entire system told them they were superior to black people. The law said it, the church said it, the culture said it. Du Bois called it the psychological wage of whiteness. This is a status payment people collect just for being white, a floor that white people couldn't fall beneath. Then Barack Obama became president. He occupied the highest status role in the country. That destroyed the floor. And when a status floor breaks, people don't quietly adjust. They backlash. Obama didn't just win an election. He took something they didn't even know they were depending on. They didn't earn this special status, but they thought it was stolen when Barack Obama got elected. And they've been trying to take it back ever since. 2. Social identity threat. Psychologist Henry Teifel at the University of Bristol spent decades studying in-group conflict. What he found was when a member of an outgroup outperforms the in-group, the psychological response is not one of admiration, but hostility. Teifel called this social identity threat. A failed black president would have confirmed the Trump cult's worldview, but Obama being polished, competent, scandal-free, and widely respected by world leaders made it impossible to call him incompetent. The better Obama performed, the more threatening he became to the cult. Not because of his policies, but because his success directly contradicted everything they believe about the natural order of things. He wasn't supposed to be better. He wasn't supposed to be a gentleman and a scholar, and yet he was. That doesn't just go away. When weak, mediocre people see someone they believe was inferior reach the highest office in the country, they don't get inspired. They become filled with rage. They feel lied to, and they need someone to blame for the hate and rage. That target is Obama. Everything they could never be. 3. Scapegoating. Obama left office in 2017, but his name never left the conversation because Trump spent more than a decade smearing his name. It all started before Trump was even president. Trump spent years pushing the birther conspiracy, claiming Obama wasn't American, wasn't legitimate, wasn't one of us. That wasn't politics. That was a deliberate effort to strip Obama of his humanity and plant him in the minds of millions as the source of everything wrong. Then when Trump took office, the playbook continued. Every problem needed an explanation. Economy struggling? Obama's fault. Crime rate rising? Obama's fault. Anything going wrong in the country? Obama's fault. Psychologists call this scapegoating. Assign one figure as the source of all your problems and anxiety, which then collapses onto that single target. It feels like clarity to his followers. It feels like understanding. It isn't. Trump didn't just keep Obama's name alive. He spent over a decade turning him into the villain of the story. And to the Trump cult members, this story still is true. 4. Cognitive dissonance. Here's what made the obsession permanent. The MAGA cult couldn't call Obama corrupt. There were no scandals. They couldn't call him incompetent. The record didn't support it. They couldn't even call him unpresidential. He was polished, disciplined, and respected around the world. Psychologist Leon Festinger at Stanford University studied what happens when people are confronted with evidence that contradicts their deeply held beliefs. Weak people don't update their beliefs when confronted with contradicting evidence. They double down on their original beliefs. Festinger called this cognitive dissonance. MAGA was left holding a belief system that Obama's entire existence disproved. And instead of resolving that contradiction by updating their worldview, they resolved it by hating him harder. The obsession isn't just political, it's psychological. And it has nowhere left to go. So it goes out onto everyone else in rage and obsession. Obama is living proof that the psychological wage of whiteness doesn't exist anymore. And to weak people who never earned that status in the first place, it feels like an identity crisis. So they obsess more, say his name more, talk about him obsessively all the time. They even have a name for this now, Obama derangement syndrome. Because Obama didn't just win the presidency. He broke a hierarchy millions of people thought was permanent. And they've been trying to undo that moment ever since.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for staying with me until the final moments of today's discussion. First of all, I sincerely want to thank everyone who has taken the time to watch this video from beginning to end. Your interest, your support, and your willingness to listen to this story mean a great deal to me. I truly appreciate it. I would also like to take this opportunity to share a little more about my personal feelings after what we have just witnessed. To be honest, I find this entire situation both ironic and disappointing. There are parts of this story that are almost hard for me to believe, because the way it unfolded is truly absurd. What caught my attention the most was Donald Trump's reaction to these developments. At the same time, however, I also cannot ignore something that has existed in society for a very long time. The false belief that white people are inherently superior to, better than, or more valuable than black people. In my view, that kind of thinking is the foundation of white supremacist ideology. When someone believes they stand above others simply because of the color of their skin, they often find it very difficult to accept that someone else can be more successful, more respected, or more accomplished than they are. That discomfort becomes even stronger when the person who reaches that position is black. This is because it goes against the false stereotypes that some people have been taught, have absorbed, or have carried in their thinking for many years. Personally, I do not think it is especially controversial to say that Donald Trump has expressed views with white supremacist overtones. I believe that for a long time, he has shown a worldview in which he, or people like him, place themselves above Barack Obama simply because of racial difference. That is a way of judging human worth based on skin color instead of based on ability, character, or what someone has actually achieved. If we look back through history, we can see many images, stories, and beliefs that have been passed down from one generation to the next. For example, in many cultural traditions, God is often depicted as white. Angels are also often portrayed as white, while evil, darkness, or demons are often associated with blackness. Even in everyday language and popular culture, similar associations appear frequently. White is often connected with purity, goodness, virtue, and positivity. Meanwhile, black is often linked to negative, evil, or frightening things. Over many generations, messages like these have quietly influenced the way many people see the world around them. After centuries of being pushed to the margins, discriminated against, and placed in a lower position in society, many black people have had to endure very deep psychological harm. Some gradually begin to doubt themselves, question their own abilities, and are even made to believe that they cannot reach the same level of success as white people. From the perspective of social power, that is exactly the condition that discriminatory systems always seek to maintain. When a community loses faith in its own value and potential, it becomes less likely to stand up and question the injustices that exist around it. That is why it is so sad that, even today, we are still witnessing incidents that seem to repeat old patterns that have existed for a very long time. In my opinion, many of these phenomena do not appear out of nowhere. They are the result of beliefs, prejudices, and ways of thinking that have been preserved, nurtured, and reinforced across generations. Of course, if we only look at the surface, some people may say that this is simply Donald Trump's personal reaction. Others may argue that this is merely a conflict between Trump and Barack Obama. But in my view, the issue does not stop there. When we look more closely, we can see that this story is not only about one specific individual. In everyday life, many people have probably encountered similar situations. It could be a neighbor, a coworker, or someone within a social circle who feels uncomfortable when they see a black person becoming more successful than them, more respected than them, or more influential than them. For some people who already carry prejudice, accepting that reality is not easy. It can make them angry and uncomfortable, and from there, they may react in negative, unfair, or malicious ways. So, if you are a black person and you encounter this kind of behavior, I do not think you need to be too surprised, and you certainly should not allow it to shake your sense of self-worth. The truth is that reactions like this have existed for a very long time, and we are fully capable of recognizing their true nature. That is also why, when I look at the way Trump reacts, I do not see it as something particularly unfamiliar. From my perspective, it reflects the kind of reaction that often appears when a person with a belief in racial superiority is forced to face a reality that contradicts their worldview. By contrast, when I see Barack Obama receiving respect from so many people around the world, I see it as a very significant achievement. It shows that black people are absolutely capable of reaching positions of great influence, becoming symbols, and inspiring future generations. I also believe that stories like this deserve more media attention. At the same time, we all understand that not every story is covered by major news outlets with the same level of focus. That is one of the reasons I choose to share content like this on my platform. I want to help bring to light the perspectives, stories, and issues that I believe have not yet been fully explored elsewhere. Now, I truly want to hear everyone's thoughts on this issue. Please leave a comment below so we can continue the conversation and discuss this more deeply together. If you found this content thought-provoking, please do not forget to like and share this video with people who may be interested in this topic. If you can, please help spread this message so it can reach even more people. For now, I will close the video here. Thank you all for watching and for joining me in today's discussion. I hope to see everyone again in upcoming videos. I wish you all good health, joy, happiness, and many wonderful things in life. Please take care of yourselves, and goodbye for now.